I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal today, and it reminded me of an app I created with some government finance folks a while ago. And I just put it on. I put the app on my server here, so I'm going to show you the app, talk a little bit about what the article is alluding to, and how to use the app. So the hidden costs of home ownership are skyrocketing. This is in housing finance. This is, it's kind of widely known when people buy houses, they look at the interest rate and the cost of the house, but they don't take into account the effect that house size will have on maintenance, heating, cooling. So in other words, you get a larger house, everything, all your costs go up. Of course, then your insurance costs go up. And then often people buy a house farther away, a longer commute to get a larger house. So that's kind of what this article is alluding to, and it's been a problem for quite some time. And like I said a while ago, I created this app to help people make this decision on the size of the house to buy, right? So I'll go through this app a little bit. One thing, if you want to get to the app, I'll put a link in the description. This is also on my financial education stuff. I just put it under here, other apps. It's working now. So it's this housing cost app, and it's on my Ztrans server. So if you are not in the United States, you won't be able to connect to this. So if you do want to see it and you're not in the United States, just leave a comment on what country you're in, and I'll unblock that country. I just, when I set up a server, generally I lock it down a bit. So let me know what country you're in, and I'll open it up so you can look at the app. But what this does is it basically goes through the house decision, right? All these factors that you're going to be able to, affect or choices you have to make when buying a house. Meaning, if you're going to buy a house, what year was it going to be built, house size, and so forth. And pardon me. And then it has a lot of other aspects. Obviously, it's going to have your how much you make, your income, other expenses that you have, and then it's going to look at your age for investment risk, right? And then we'll do a little college savings calculator. So it's kind of all aspects of your financial life here. And then it gets that and then runs a Monte Carlo, and it's going to get your average or expected retirement savings, total wealth, and so forth, and how much your wealth is going to be in your house. It gives you expected values. This is actually the distribution. So the idea here, it's running a Monte Carlo, so we expect your total wealth to be 3.43 million, anywhere between 3.4 and 3.48 million. And then it has this chart on where your money is going. So with these settings, you're paying this amount. You're actually almost spending half your income in mortgage interest and property tax, maintenance, and insurance, and so forth. So this gives you an idea of where your money is going. So kind of going through this a little bit and discussing how I would use it, or how people have found it useful. You have your house purchase price and so forth. So this is obvious. How much you're going to put in a down payment, standard 20% maybe. Mortgage interest rate is obviously going to have a large effect on retirement savings. So 2.51 million if it's at 4 something percent, drop that. 2.96. If we go up to kind of present rates, it drops it down to 1.87 million. So mortgage rate has a big effect. However, what most people don't really think about is that the approximate year that the house was built is also going to have a fairly decent effect on maintenance, right? So if it's a 1930s house, you're going to have more maintenance costs, right? If it's a newer house, right, 1.87 to 2.06 million. So not a massive difference, but the newer the house, the less you're going to have in maintenance, right? The older the house, the more you have to sit there and say, okay, well, I'm going to budget that for maintenance. And again, from 1920s to 2015, this is it's Monte Carlo, so it can be a little bit slow in the background. So you kind of have to let the settings and see it. But this could make $100,000 difference in with these parameters. One of the things that the app does, it's interesting, is you can put in your county here. So what this is going to do is it's going to set, depending on your county, it'll give you appropriate tax rates, property tax rates, because property tax goes into here. And then also it's going to use an estimate of house price appreciation. So depending on your county, that's going to affect property taxes, and then the how much your house is going to go up, right? So you can choose your county in here, and then one sort of big payment that people often forget is the insurance payment. Insurance payments, particularly in something like Broward County, are going up dramatically, right? So when doing this, you can see the effect that, okay, well, this interest payment is going to have a fairly decent effect on decently sized effect on retirement savings, on where your money is going, right? And probably if you were buying a house, I'd set this higher than you think. Another aspect of it that most people forget, and one of the reasons why we built this, is the house size, right? So the idea here is, again, as I mentioned, and when you increase the house size, you are increasing heating, cooling, maintenance. If you got to fix the roof, it's more roof. Everything that all your costs go up as you go up per square feet. So this can have a fairly sizable effect. 1900 is a pretty small house, but if we go up to 4,000, you see we're knocking I think a couple $100,000 off there, right? And then usually, I'm going to jump ahead because usually house size, one of the reasons why people are going for, or people often move farther away, right, to get a larger house, right? So one of the big issues in terms of sort of retirement savings is people go and say, okay, well, I'm gonna increase this house size. I'm gonna get a big house, but I'm gonna have to commute maybe, I don't know, 50 miles to do it, right? Well, now you can see that dropped our retirement savings to less than $1 million, right? It's it's a sizable effect. So once we do that, so we can go in here and commuting, and you can see our commuting costs, right? Well, what do we have? 0.93 million. Let's say we drop it down to 30, right? Now 1.22 million. So a couple $100,000, right? Just going 10 miles less a day gives us a couple $100,000 more in retirement, right? If we can drop this down to 20 miles, right? 1.81. What was it at 40 miles? So 1.31. We're going down here to 1.81. So we're going $500,000. Again, I have to. Was it 1.8? It was 1.5. That's. I think again the Monte Carlo can take take a little while to run in the background, so you have to kind of let it sit. But so the miles of driving, commute to work. So what this is basically telling you, if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to move farther away to buy a bigger house, that can have a massive effect on your retirement savings, because that bigger house is going to have a lot more maintenance costs, and then the commute costs are a lot more than people generally tend to think, right? Your commuting costs, and this is also as a kind of corollary to that. You can see the effect of remote work. So, if I drop this, I had this at 0 initially because I was looking at remote work. I dropped that down to remote work. Okay, I go from 1.8 to 2.4. So roughly 2.5 million. So, we're looking at like 600,000 extra if I can work remotely. So, again, another corollary of this is because miles of driving to work are generally it's a huge cost. Remote work is pretty valuable, right? You can see why people want to work remotely. I want to work remotely. The commute just eats up time, and it absolutely eats up a lot of money. So yeah, value of remote work. But if you take away anything from this, definitely moving up in house size or driving farther commute to move up in house size can be extraordinarily detrimental to your wallet. Good. And the rest of this, so again, you can go through here and kind of look up, again, I find this interesting to see how commuting changes, and to the extent to which the house size affects property and maintenance and so forth. So those are the kind of the big takeaways, and the rest is just going through other housing costs. This just kind of allows you to, if you want to prepay. Do you have any other costs? This is just fine tuning it to your sort of financial condition, or the particulars of your financial case. But so in other words, you have roughly your age, right? So I expect to earn that for this many years. Any other income you have, other monthly payments, yeah, negative monthly income. So that's, let me move that up a bit. Your age for investment risk. So what this takes into account is if you're younger, it'll be more risky in your investments. If you're older, it'll be safer. Even though I don't necessarily agree with that. For my own investment, when I don't get safer as I get older. I keep risk. Risk is good in terms of owning stock. But and then the other thing it does is it allows you to look at how many children do you have, and how much what's your expected cost that you're going to pay for your children's education. And this is it's actually kind of important, because a lot of times people will say, well, I want to buy this big house, and I'm going to drive to work, and then this is a little bit of a reality check. Then it's like, okay, well then you're not going to be able to pay for much of their college, which is just a decision. That's fine. Put them in ROTC. That's it's a decision people make. But so the idea here is this whole app kind of, it's like a pro forma financial statement. It's good to sort of make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Make sure that your goals are aligned with what you want. If that makes sense. If you want to pay for a lot of their college, right? Then you can set that high, and then kind of look at, okay, well, what sort of house size and commute will make that work. Good. Of course, there's a particulars, 15, 30 year, and so forth. So if you get a chance, definitely check out this article. Like I said, this is sometimes you see good stuff from the Wall Street Journal, and absolutely this is something that housing finance folks have discussed for quite some time. It's why we created this app, right? So the idea here is definitely worth a read. If you get a chance, take a look at the app. You can it'll help you get an idea for what factors. We know mortgage interest rate is going to have a huge effect, but this will show you, or give you definite quantitative differences between what will my retirement be at 7%, what it will be at 3%, right? It'll give you distinct quantitative measures. So if you get a chance, check it out. If you're if you're in a different country, you won't connect, so leave a note and I will unblock it in your country. Otherwise, have a great day.